Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
So today is a great celebration. It's a feast of starting afresh. You know, one of the things that kill dreams is failure. When people fail, they do not want to give a second, they don't want to make a second attempt. Once people fall, the most difficult thing is to go back to retype an email that took you, or a project that took you 1 hour. All of a sudden in your computer, it's just like wiped out. And then you say, I'm not going to do it again. It's not easy to go back to a relationship and say, can we start again? It's not easy to reapply for a job when you are fired. Starting again takes courage, and a lot of people who have fallen today is because they did not take the courage to start afresh. Most importantly, a lot of people are out of the church or out of the Lord because of the mistake they did in the past, and they say, I cannot go back to church because I am no longer good, or I can no longer please God. A lot of people are away from God, not because God does not want them, but they kept themselves away, thinking that they are no longer good. So Easter is a time of starting afresh, that we can do it again. Amen? So this is a document from the Vatican, and it's for everyone in the third millennium. It was written at the beginning of the third millennium, the year 2000, by John Paul II. He saw the situation of the universe and saw that everything is moving towards the kind of what you may call atheism. And people no longer understand faith. And he said this will be relevant for everybody in that time. And I read from it, starting afresh from Christ means proclaiming that consecrated life is a special following of Christ, a living memorial of Jesus' way of living and acting as the incarnate Word in relation to the Father and in relation to the brethren. This implies a particular communion of love for Christ, who has become the center. Please pay attention to that. That is what is going to be the center of their life. The center of their life, the center of their program, the center of their marriage, the center of their day, the center of their contemplation, starting afresh, and a continuous source of every initiative, an experience of sharing, a special grace of intimacy. It is becoming one with Him, taking on His mind and His way of life, and it is a life taken up by Christ, touched by the hand of Christ, a life where His voice is heard, a life sustained by His grace. Amen? So the Lord said, after everything we have tried, and a lot of people have tried everything about science, they have tried everything about ideology, human rights, and they see that they could no longer fix the universe. And then they see that also the whole universe is in a situation now whereby we say, what are we going to do? So that time will come when the economy and everything, science, will no longer sustain the capacity to give us hope. And he said, what will people do? He said, this is the solution, that Jesus will become the center of their life. And once that happens, they have a highway of recovery, especially of personal peace and life. Amen? Now let us look at the life of Jesus. I don't know if you have fallen, but Jesus tells us, if I fell 3 times, I being God fell 3 times, which means if you have fallen, do not lose hope. If you have made a mistake, do not lose hope. Intentionally, God allowed Himself to fall 3 times, and He rose 3 times. So the courageous man is the one who rises, even though he has fallen 7 times. But the coward is the one who falls once and will never rise, and he never can accomplish anything. He does the homework once, he doesn't want to do the homework again. He applies for school, they failed, he doesn't want to apply again. He does something and there is a failure, he says, this is not for me. So that is the person that is a coward. He can never succeed. You know, there's somebody that said no does not mean there is no does not mean give up. When you knock and they say no, no means next opportunity, come back. And somebody say fail does not really mean that you cannot succeed in life. Fail is first attempt in learning. First attempt in learning. Many of us here failed our schools when we were in the grade 1, but we came out from the university with first class. But the young generation has to know that you fail does not mean that you cannot succeed. You can always start afresh. People like Einstein, people like the ones who discovered the greatest technology, Edison. We live in the city of Edison. You know that after building the first house for electricity, all of a sudden there was a fire that burnt everything down. And he said, what are we going to do, Mom? I believe in God. God disappointed me. The following day he said, anyway, I know what we do. Let us start afresh again and begin to rebuild. And then they built up something that was very solid and formidable. Because anytime you go back to retype an email, to retype an assignment, anytime you go back, you come out stronger. So whatever allows you to fall is not a situation to stay there. Rise again, you will become more powerful. Do not be discouraged. The young people of this generation, any mistake is an opportunity for greater expansion. Amen? So this is what Jesus did today. Let us read out John chapter 2. Say, Jesus answered them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. This temple took 46 years to build. The Jews replied, and you are going to raise it up in 3 days? But Jesus was speaking about the temple of his body. And after he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and then they believed in the scriptures. Amen? A lot of things can happen in 3 days. Because Jesus died, they think all over, they think everything is all over. But in 3 days, the great story changed. You know, that's why sometimes people say, I feel depressed right now. I don't think I can make it the next day. Let me take a pill and kill myself. After that 1 hour, you can still end up become a billionaire in the future. You can still end up become the president of America. That you're stressed out at a minute does not mean that you to take your life. A great thing can happen after 3 hours. A great thing can happen if you can stay for 3 minutes more, because the devil wants to destroy a destiny. Jesus only 3 days came back, and today we celebrate him all over the world. Amen? The time of darkness is a time of great discovery. Necessity is a child of creativity. When you come to the end of your life, it's a time of elastic expansion. They call it in physics elastic velocity, or something like a velocity of escape velocity. When you come to the end of your strength, it's a time not to give up, because something is about to break out. Are you with me now? So you come to this sister message today. What is the message? Your marriage is not working well. Your finance is not working well. Your children are not doing well. Let me say this. The greatest inspiration for education, Palmer, I know his name when I was studying leadership. Palmer, he never passed his classes beginning. The father said, my son, I am not going to kick you out of the school. I still have confidence in you. And this man ended up becoming one of the greatest writers of education. He said, my father's patience and belief in me made me to know that I can still be great. So your child may not be doing well in the school right now. Do not call him a failure. He may end up being a great scientist. Are you with me? So this is what the Lord is telling us today, that we can start afresh. If you have made a mistake, you can still become a saint. St. Augustine started up like a very terrible man. St. Paul started up like a murderer. But today they are greatly adored all over the universe. What will stop you is you, not your past. Jesus says, start afresh.